It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Yeah, lot of controversy that do not disturb me. Got dreams of a million, cannot defer me. Got a ring on my finger, I retired my jersey. Fuck, nigga, y'all suck like the plot of Kirby. I'm him. All black on the scene, doing me high. No, I got the game covered like knee highs. I be killing on my foes like FIFA. Flows on kit like FIFA, Fila, EIO. Green on me like G.I. Joe. Hold my chest like a peacock glow. Southside nigga with an eastside hoe. Hitting at the chicken number 3 combo. Type of nigga lead EB, John Doe, 3D, Camp Creek on the creek, zone 4. With a nigga play street, living cheeks on the floor, can't speak no more. First verse in surgery, it's only me versus me. Nobody else hurting me. I burn niggas to the 3rd degree. Like Jazzo, nigga certainly. The best nigga that rap, I don't mean just virtually. These are the 4 just worker bees. I flex up like Hercules. I hit a nigga in the shit so hard that it hurt to sneeze. It's Nolan.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well this Friday evening. I told y'all that we were going to be getting to Megan Thee Stallion and basically her legal team breaking down both Milagro and Emilio Garcia, aka Emilio Coochie, who has, of course, I won't call it workers' compensation, although that's kind of what it is. He's got a sexual harassment and unpaid wages lawsuit against Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion also has a defamation lawsuit against Milagro. We're gonna go into both because I just don't feel like doing isolated videos about the situations today. First up, we're gonna address Milagro because surprisingly, it seems that she is starting to, I guess, come to the realization that she's in a case that she probably can't win. It seems that she's come to the internet and voiced a little bit of remorse, not necessarily remorse towards Megan, but remorse towards the situation, right? She comes and says that she wishes that Megan Thee Stallion would have reached out to her personally and told her that the things that she was doing and saying were hurting her feelings, and maybe they could have come to some sort of resolution. I honestly think that's a bunch of cap. Let's be real. If Megan Thee Stallion would have reached out to Milagro and she said those things, Milagro would have went right to her platform and called her out and said, "This weak ass hoe done hit me up and now she copping please." Let's be real. We already know the characteristics of the parties that we're talking here. Ain't no way you would have bowed down just because she did that. But whatever. Make it look good for your people. Right? She also gets into some of the financial hardship that she's facing while fighting this case, because she's made reference to the fact that she may or may not have the financial resources to continue to move forward with all of the different depositions and all of the different legal filings that do require some level of investment. And she also speaks about some displeasure with her legal counsel. Of course, that's Unite the People, a nonprofit program out there from California. Tory Lanez plays an advisory board member role with that company. They jumped out there to assist Milagro with this legal action, but it seems at this point she's no longer satisfied with what they can offer her either. And all of this has been recorded. Shout out to Opinionated Truth for sending this my way. I'm going to play the audio. However, if you want the full audio, you will need to go check this on Opinionated Truth's page, because I had to cut it down. It was over 25 minutes of audio, and y'all know we're not finna sit through that. So I took about half of it out just to keep the main sources, the meat and potatoes of the discussion, because she talks, at lengths, and a lot of it is unnecessary to what it is that we're going to be talking about today. And we're also going to be addressing the paperwork between Megan Thee Stallion and Emilio Garcia, aka Emilio Coochie, who was Megan's former cameraman, photographer. They had some issues. He claims that he was a witness to Megan Thee Stallion having sexual activities in Ibiza in front of him inside of an SUV. Something that he was not, he didn't like it. He felt that it was unprofessional. So he claims that he witnessed these things, and that from the moment that she became aware that he was present, because he claims that she was so drunk out of her mind she didn't even know, she began to treat him differently, and eventually fired him. And he claims that she blackballed him from the entertainment industry. So we're going to go through some of Megan's responses. Roc Nation has also entered a response to the courts, and they've also pulled receipts to show that Emilio Garcia was never an employee of Megan or Roc Nation, and that he was an independent contractor, which debunks a good portion of his lawsuit against Megan, because he's filing for unpaid wages as an employee, which I told y'all would come to light, because the California statute shows that camera people are not seen as employees under California law. They are contractors, right? But we'll move forward because I want to be quick as possible, because this is going to be a little bit to get through. So first up, let's pull up Milagro and her, pleadings on on Station Head.
So it's like I'm just at my wit's end, because it shouldn't have gone this far. It's literally ridiculous. Go read that motherfucking lawsuit. Go read what the fuck is going on and what her problem is. This is ludicrous. It's ridiculous. Her overgrown ass should have set her pride to the side and said, your commentary is hurting my feelings. Even though I'm choosing to come to your platforms to absorb your content, it's hurting my feelings. This is not true. I don't identify. You could have fucking said something. But that would have been too much like right. That would have been too much like a bruised fucking ego for you. That would have been too much for you to do. This shit is weak as fuck. It's weak. Literally fucking weak. I'm getting fucking stalked at this point. After this experience and in the midst of what's going on.
This woman came out and said she's being stalked. You being sued for cyber stalking, but you say you're the one being stalked because your online activity is now being monitored and reported. So every time you come out, and it's just not smart. You have a case. You have legal filings being put on you. You're the subject. You're the defendant in a case about your activity online and your platform, but you refuse to learn from your mistakes to say, at bare minimum, while I'm going through this, as much as I would love to talk to my followers about what's going on, it's best for me to shut up. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about the person that's suing me, Megan Thee Stallion. But you haven't learned. All of a sudden, now you want to come out and do this thing, I guess expecting some form of sympathy.
And with everybody being able to see like what this is, it's very disappointing and disheartening. And shout out to the mob. But to see the lack of support. So we come from a community where Black men, I feel like, are oftentimes complaining about the lack of support from women, Black women. And I feel like I have literally, figuratively, every way you can put it, put my life and like livelihood on the line. And I sit in these moments asking, like, what the fuck was the point? What was the point? I feel like you have people like you stand up for something that you believe in, and you do what you do. Hold on. You do what you do. But I feel like when you have so many people who were so ready to repost, and I agree with what you're saying, and all just all this shit like that. Like for people to hit you up and say this is fucked up what she's doing to you, and to never publicly stand for anything, or to try to just be supportive. Like literally just be supportive. I think that's the best thing. I feel like this is how y'all lose soldiers. To be honest with you, I don't foresee myself standing up for a Black man the way that I did this go around, like everything in my life.
So now this becomes a matter of, I was standing up for a Black man, and So many of you black men out there, y'all come to the people and say that women don't support you, black women don't support you. Y'all wonder why nobody stands up for you. But then she positions it as if she came out here to defend some honorable black man, and she's reaping negative feedback and results because of it. No, it's not because you defended a black man. It's the black man you chose to defend. You defended a nigga that shot a woman. Okay? That's who you defended. And because of that, because you decided to defend a black man who shot a black woman, you decided to sit in the trial and put out misinformation regarding the trial. You decided to go on a 5-year campaign going against this woman, trying to make her look bad, calling her a horse, calling her a drunkie, calling her a drunken horse, questioning her cognitive abilities, calling, you know what I'm saying? Any and everything that you could do to try to discredit her and make her look bad. Then they go into the records. They find out that you've been paid by this black man and his father to carry out his bidding. Now that you've been discovered for who you are, now you're coming and saying, I don't think I'll ever stick my neck out on the line for another black man ever. No, it ain't about black and white. He could have been a white man. He could have been anybody. You chose the wrong person to support. And because you did that, and because you took it upon yourself to disparage this woman for 5 years, now it's coming to a head. You're being sued and you don't like how it feels, right? And you're not getting the support. You don't have the financial resources. You don't have, Tory can't send you no money because you've already been outed as his, his puppet. What about Ack? I thought Ack was doing a whole campaign, GoFundMe and everything to put towards you. I guess he didn't follow up on his words. The DJ that don't spin also don't donate. Huh. There's a lot of things he don't do, huh?
I don't. As right as I feel about the decisions that I made, like as right as I feel about, I know that I felt this was true. Like I know why I did this. I know I'm choosing my words. I feel like it's just like a slap in the face to do some or to give so much of yourself, regardless of if that was your choice, because so many people benefited and were happy about, being that voice. I feel like that's how you lose like people, because people get jaded. People are only human. So when so many people can agree that this shit is not right, first of all, they never stood for anything and spoke out against it, even though they had feelings. And then you fast forward to this situation and they have feelings about that. But nobody's bold enough, brave enough, strong enough to stand up. Okay. Well, don't look for people like me. That's how I feel. And that right there is exactly why I feel like people don't care to go out and to vouch. So I'm completely fucking, like I said, over it. Somebody just said, you used your voice and it made a change. Did it? Did it?
That was about the best question you ever asked. Did it? Did it make a change? I bet it changed everything in your world though. Woo, shit.
Was that worth it? And that's a tough question, because the question actually is standing up for a black man worth it? Today, my answer is, do I really wish we could fast forward to whatever the fuck they're gonna do? Because like I said, I don't even fucking care. I don't care. Do y'all, and did y'all see that Unite the People said that they would take on my case. Did everybody see that? Okay. Bitch, the lawyer need his money. Hello? I'm in a position, I have been put in a position, read between the lines. I've been put in a position where I was told that it might be better for you if the request is that you just retract or apologize simply because you don't have the money.
Oh shit! Unite the people that say, "Hey man, I think we think that we've brought you as far as we possibly can in this matter. The best course of action for you moving forward is to come out and admit that you were wrong and apologize to Megan for all of the mistakes you made along the way in making this harassment campaign." She says, "I will not." So in the midst of all this sniffling and coming to the people and trying to plead and, voice some sort of accountability, which is very limited, she still won't own up to the main mistake that got her in this. You threaten to slap this girl, right? You say she a drunkie, an alcoholic. You say she lied. You say she never was shot. You said the gun was lost, right? You've come out and said she was sleeping with her manager. You said the manager was sleeping with her mom while she was living. You came out and did all of these different things. You spread a deep fake video of a fake Megan Thee Stallion having a sexual intercourse on tape, and you drew attention to it. The judge has already said, "Yep, based on the legal term of promotion, I gotta let the lawsuit ride out because you kind of did promote that motherfucker." These are things that you chose to do, and just to be clear, if you were just defending Tory Lane's innocence, which I don't see how you ever thought you could do that, but if you were just defending his innocence, why did it become personal? Why did it become, "I'm going to smack you"? Why did it become all of these things about her being a drunk or her who she's sleeping with and all of these different things, right? Trying to find dirt on her family and things of that nature. That attacks your credibility more than her, because you're taking this outside the realms of what you even got involved for. You just wanted to get to the truth. The truth was presented in court. You weren't satisfied, so you decided to go on a warpath against the person. That's on you.
I was literally told, well, shit, I don't know, because it takes money to fight these things. So, shit, if it gets to that point, let me tell you something. I don't know what way this is going to go, but I'm not apologizing for something I did not do. And I'm not admitting to something that I did not do. So if this case does not go my way, because motherfuckers did not pay a bill, they didn't have the money for whatever the fuck, then that would be the reason. And that would be that. Like, when I tell you I'm so fed up and I'm just so fucking done, I am done. Like, I'm over it. Because at the end of the day, services were offered. Anything after that is not my responsibility. It's supposed to be handled. One person might say, well, get such and such to do it. Well, you fucking accuse me of using this person to do shit. So if Daystar wanted to help, he couldn't. You understand? If certain people wanted to help, nigga, they can't because you've already accused them of shit. Somebody said, how much you need? I don't even fucking know. Like, I was like, what needs to be paid for? Okay, one thing that needs to be paid for, like, we got mediation next month. The deposit for the mediation is okay. I don't know how much the full mediation, bitch, I don't know because the shit wasn't coming to me. The bills was being sent to the people that paid. This is a federal case. Federal cases are very expensive. So I think that I've seen a bill for $15,000 so far for sure. Like for sure, like that's been paid up. But I think that they've paid at least like $50K. Like already on like literally what has just been filed. Now, because the judge did not dismiss it, deposition happened, discovery, and mediation. You have to pay for depositions. You have to pay. All these things cost. And that's the part of the process that gets expensive. But this is the whole reason for this. This is why a person would try to challenge someone as an independent citizen and try to milk the fuck out of them and try to cripple them in the courts, because I'll put it to you like this. She's not going to take Joe Budden to court because Joe Budden can foot the bill and go ahead and the shit will just get thrown out eventually because the things he said speak to things you said. I think ultimately the people would find that, okay, fine, fuck it. But she chooses me because I'm not a commercial platform. Y'all fucking know that. That's why it's $20 every 15 minutes.
Nah. This ain't about Joe Budden. This ain't about Jason Lee, right? Joe Budden has said some questionable things about Megan Thee Stallion, right? He say he don't really care for her all that much. He don't believe the situation, but Joe Budden can go 4-6 months on his podcast, never even mention Megan Thee Stallion, not her music, nothing she has going on. He goes about his business, and when he does, he shares whatever he says, right? But when Megan Thee Stallion puts out a bop or a record he likes, he'll say, I like this record. She smoked this record. Jason Lee, he has so much other shit going on. He's running for whatever the fuck position he's trying to be out there in California. I don't know, city councilman, alderman, some shit. Head of sanitation. I don't know what the fuck, but whatever it is, he's running for. He won. He does his thing every now and then. He did put that video out claiming that Megan was a alcoholic and that she put hands on Winnie Harlow or what have you. We still haven't seen any evidence to substantiate that, but Jason Lee also can go on his platform and go months upon months without talking about Megan Thee Stallion and talk to his guests and talk to his people. He's not going on his platform on a daily basis talking about Megan Thee Stallion, calling her out of her name, calling her all types of names, and making a concerted effort to run a hate campaign that's being commissioned by her assailant, right? That's very different from what it is that you do. So no, you can't just write this off like, oh, she didn't sue them because they got money. Nah, she didn't sue them because you were the easier target. You get on your platform, you go on some Kid Cut day and night. I hate them hanging off the top of my mind. You know what I'm saying? And your ass get recorded every time. And every time your ass get recorded, it gets sent in to somebody, and somebody send it in to the courts and put that shit down in legal paperwork. And you fall into the trap every time because you haven't noticed. Every time you talk about this woman, the shit got recorded. I don't see how you ain't noticed it because we read all the different clippings they got of your ass, seen the screenshots, seen all type of shit, they even had the links to the shit. And they pointed out where you've deleted content off the internet to try to save your own ass. Yeah, you were a very easy target because you weren't moving with all that much, foresight in what you were doing. And yeah, I'm going to get your ass caught up financially because that's what people respect. Everybody say they respect the money. Money talk, bullshit walk. I think you said it yourself. But the money aspect is only if you're not going to stop fucking with me, I'm going to make you, because people only respect what hurts they pockets. Why do you think people do boycotts? If I hurt you financially, right? then we can have a conversation to say what needs to happen in order for me to support you financially again. These are the changes that need to be made. Same thing with somebody who's on a hate campaign. You're going to keep going until a person sue you, tie you up in litigation, and then you putting out all this money out when all you had to do was not do a hate campaign. Excuse me. You can say, I don't agree with her. You know what I'm saying? The things that you expressed opinion-wise, you never said it was your opinion. You just put it out as fact, which I want to thank you, Milagro, because I've learned that if I have an opinion about somebody, I need to say, it is my opinion. This is what I believe. This is my thought process, right? So, salute to you for that.
She knows that. So she went to federal court and filed a case, knowing how expensive that shit was, hoping that even if this ain't the case, bitch, I still got you because you can't afford it. That is why you can have a whole record called Bigfoot saying all these 50-11 fucking things and not a word. That is why Jay can get on his platform and say all this shit and not a word. That is why Jason Lee can still to this day accuse her of being an alcoholic and a bitch ain't gonna say shit. Because they would have enough money to get them to the end. You understand?
All right, so that's Milagro and her piece. And again, I don't think this is going to end well. I don't think she should keep coming to the internet with her problems. I guess she doesn't have anybody else to talk to help her move forward with this or get things off her chest that are not going to incriminate her in her lawsuit. But let's just go ahead and put a pin in this whole Bigfoot thing. That's a conversation between her and another a rapper in her business. They decided to take shots at each other in diss records. What you want her to do? Sue Nicki Minaj for defamation? So people could treat her like Drake for suing over a diss record? Yeah, right. But best wishes to you. Let's get to Emilio. So first up, Roc Nation submitted some paperwork to the courts because they want to be removed from this shit. Because they don't understand why they were even included in the lawsuit to begin with, because Emilio Garcia, aka Emilio Cucci, never worked for Roc Nation, although that is what he claimed in his paperwork. And of course, Roc Nation is a much bigger empire than Megan Thee Stallion is alone. And she signed to them under management, so it made sense that he would try to go after them because when it comes to damages, they have bigger pockets. But they're like, man, count me out of this shit, right? So let's go to it. Defendant Roc Nation respectfully submits this memorandum of law in support of its motion to dismiss plaintiff Emilio Garcia's First Amendment complaint and plaintiff's claims therein as against Roc Nation with prejudice pursuant to Federal Code Civil P12B6. Okay, plaintiff improperly names Roc Nation as a defendant in this action, despite the fact that his claims relate solely to his engagement to provide videography and photography services for music artist Megan Pete, professionally known as Megan Thee Stallion. Roc Nation is Miss Pete's artist management company and never engaged plaintiff by contract or otherwise for services, right? Plaintiff was engaged in an independent contractor for these engaged as an independent contractor for these videography photography services. That's what I said from the jump. Through a written agreement with defendant Hot Girl Touring LLC, all of plaintiff's legal claims against Roc Nation, including the various wage and hour claims, require plaintiff to show that Roc Nation was either plaintiff's employer or otherwise contractually engaged plaintiff for services. Plaintiff entirely fails to allege facts to support employment or any engagement by Roc Nation. Now remember, in a management situation, and I think some people that don't understand how business or the music business specifically works, Megan Thee Stallion is a Roc Nation artist in terms of artist management, right? So some people would wrongfully suggest that Megan Thee Stallion works for Roc Nation, when in reality, your manager works for you, right? The manager's job is to go out and help you build your brand, put you on stages, help you find opportunities. They are working on your behalf, not the other way around. Now, if she was signed to Roc Nation as an artist, that would be a little bit different. And the dynamic of their relationship would also be pretty different as well. I'll continue. Roc Nation is an artist management company that provides artist management services to Miss Pete and many other clients. Roc Nation was never a party to any contract with plaintiff, never controlled plaintiff's terms and conditions of employment, never controlled plaintiff's pay, never directed plaintiff's work, never hired or fired plaintiff, even had the power to do so, and never paid plaintiff's invoices. And plaintiff makes no allegations otherwise. Instead, in his FAC, plaintiff relies entirely on conclusory allegations stating that Roc Nation was a joint employer of plaintiff, along with stating that an unidentified individual at Roc Nation informed that his services would no longer be required. And 2, that Desiree Perez, CEO of Roc Nation, contacted plaintiff to alter his compensation structure from a monthly rate to a pay-per-task system, invoiced for each assignment. Plaintiff, in fact, falsely portrays these communications with Roc Nation and Ms. Perez. But even taking plaintiff's allegations as true, as must be done at this stage, and that's key to that's very key that I'm learning about lawsuits as I'm reading these things damn near daily. At the stage when these allegations and these complaints are filed, they're taken as fact until proven otherwise. Right? A representative of Roc Nation informing plaintiff on behalf of Miss Pete, the artist that Roc Nation manages, of these 2 items does not turn Roc Nation into an employer. In fact, it proves the point. As Miss Pete's management, Roc Nation simply informed plaintiff of certain decisions reached by Miss Pete based on his agreement with Hot Girl Touring LLC. So they're saying even if Miss Desi Perez did reach out to him to change the pay structure in which he was going to be working under, it was only done because Megan made the decision and they communicated it to him. Plaintiff can only provide self-serving and misleading statements regarding his limited communications with Roc Nation and offer only conclusory allegations that Roc Nation was anything but Miss Pete's management company. Further, an additional allegation claiming that plaintiff was told that Roc Nation was involved in the booking of Miss Pete's engagements as an artist management company generally may do in no way changes this. This is industry standard communication for a manager, and it does not otherwise serve as a basis for plaintiff to sue Roc Nation for employment claims based solely on a theory of a joint employer liability and alleging absolutely no wrongful action by Roc Nation. Further, in a blatant attempt to forum shop, plaintiff's original complaint falsely claimed that plaintiff was a resident of California, which formed the entire basis for plaintiff to bring claims under California law, and which was shown to be false by even the most cursory of investigations. Despite explicitly stating he had been a California resident at all pertinent times in his initial complaint, now in his first amended complaint, plaintiff correctly admits he was a Texas resident at all pertinent times. You got caught in a lie in your own shit. Your first filing said you was a California resident. Now you talking about you a Texas nigga. Because plaintiff lied about his residence and does not and has never lived in California during any relevant times, and because none of the alleged wrongful conduct took place in California, there is absolutely no basis to apply California law extraterritorially. Recognizing that plaintiff, a non-California resident, had no basis to pursue his claims in California courts, and because plaintiff has an explicit New York choice of venue clause in his signed contract with Hot Girl Touring LLC, again an entity owned by Miss Pete, on October 4th, 2024, the California federal judge transferred this matter to New York. Plaintiff has since added New York causes of action, duplicating the various California causes of action he previously alleged based on his false California connection as a purported California resident. Again, when plaintiff was in no way a California resident and plaintiff knew this at the time of his initial filing, the fact that plaintiff continues to pursue these California claims now in New York courts as a Texas resident who agreed to a New York choice of venue and choice of law provision in his written agreement with Hot Girl Touring LLC, and where the purported wrongful acts did not even occur in California, is further evidence of his bad faith in this action. And the reason why he even said that he was a resident of California was because there were certain periods of time that he was staying at Megan's house in California. But remember, the house was a rental. She's never owned property in California, right? Her homes, her businesses, her valuables are all housed in Florida. So her time being spent out there in California was work-based, not residential, okay? Therefore, his time in California was work-based, but not to the fact that he was a California employee, because their contract never stated that he was an employee in the state of California. He was just doing gig work wherever the artist was. Right? Here specifically, plaintiff brings various claims against all defendants under both New York and California law. And this is where they get into the employer stuff. In counts 1, 3, 4, and 6, plaintiff brings discrimination claims against all defendants under the New York State Human Rights Law and the New York City Human Rights Law. Roc Nation should be dismissed from these claims because plaintiff does not sufficiently allege facts to state a claim that there is a joint employer relationship with Roc Nation. Further, plaintiff fails to allege any facts supporting, aiding, and abetting discrimination against Roc Nation, as plaintiff does not allege Roc Nation took any actions that constitute discrimination. In counts 2, 5, 7, and 8, plaintiff brings retaliation claims against all defendants. Roc Nation should be dismissed from these claims because plaintiff does not sufficiently allege facts to state a claim that there is a joint employer relationship with Roc Nation, and he will not be able to do so because he never worked for them. He was just in proximity to a Roc Nation artist. In counts 9 and 10, plaintiff brings wage and labor claims against all defendants. Roc Nation should be dismissed from those claims because plaintiff does not sufficiently allege, and basically it's all the same stuff. You know, he just doesn't fall under the actual laws that he's trying to use to his favor. Roc Nation should be therefore entirely dismissed as a defendant in this lawsuit with prejudice. They want nothing to do with it. Okay? I could go through all this other stuff, but I'd rather not because it's going to just add time. So now here we have Megan herself and her legal team coming out to defend themselves against the claims made by Emilio Garcia. So here, defendant Megan Thee Stallion, Hot Girl Touring LLC, Megan Thee Stallion Entertainment, collectively the Pete defendants respectfully submit this memorandum of law in support of their motion to dismiss the amended complaint. Okay? So now they say plaintiff Emilio Garcia, his FAC, which asserts 19 causes of action under 2 states' laws against 4 defendants, fails to adequately state any claim for relief under the myriad California and New York statutes it seeks to invoke. Instead, plaintiff impermissibly relies on a kitchen sink group pleading approach. Oh my God, not everything but the kitchen sink. That's crazy. Making either conclusory allegations or failing to make any allegations against specific defendants. When stripped down to its well-pled facts, the FAC alleges episodic instances of purportedly harassing conduct unmoored to any alleged protected characteristic and a complaint that plaintiff should have been paid more. But the scandalous tale of harassment that plaintiff spins fails to distract from his claims' lack of merit. Plaintiff's services were not terminated because of any retaliation or discrimination, but because he repeatedly misrepresented the work he performed, the time he spent on it, and the expenses he incurred. His attempt to rewrite history with his complaint should be dismissed. So at some point, he must have started asking for more money to say that he was misrepresenting the work that he actually did, the amount of time that he spent on it, and the expenses he incurred. He was trying to strong arm Megan for more money, or at least that's what it seems to me, in my opinion, that he's alleging, or that they're alleging was placed upon Megan. Right? First, the FAC is replete with impermissible group pleading. Rather than specifying what each defendant has done to warrant its inclusion in this lawsuit, plaintiff makes undifferentiated allegations that all 4 defendants engaged in various unlawful conduct. This is improper. Second, plaintiff's California claims should be dismissed and his New York claims limited because none of the statutes he relies on applies extraterritorially. To avail himself of either state's laws, plaintiff, a Texas resident, must allege unlawful conduct within the state's territorial boundaries, but the FAC does not allege that plaintiff suffered any harassment in California, that any alleged wage violations occurred there, that he was terminated there, or even that he suffered harm there. His California-based claims should be dismissed. Similarly, the FAC alleges only one incident of purported harassment that occurred in February 2022 in New York City. Should the court determine that his New York claims are properly pled, they are not. They should be limited to this incident only. And remember, that New York incident was in the strip club where Megan got mad at him, allegedly. Third, plaintiff cannot seek relief under New York's labor law or California labor code because relief is only available to employees. We talked about that. He was an independent contractor, not an employee. Plaintiff's conclusory allegations fail to adequately allege employee status and are belied by his well-pled facts, raising an interference that he was an independent contractor consistent with his classification as such under the agreement he executed with Hot Girl Touring. Fourth, regardless of extraterritoriality, plaintiff's New York and California claims for discrimination and harassment must allege discriminatory animus. They do not. Indeed, plaintiff does not claim that any purported acts of harassment or discrimination, i.e., that he was yelled at, given dirty looks, or put in uncomfortable situations, or the changes to his pay structure, decrease in bookings, or termination of his services were done because of his protected characteristic. Finally, plaintiff's retaliation claims, to the extent he can avail himself of the statutes asserted, are ripe for dismissal. All of the instances in which plaintiff purportedly opposed any unlawful conduct are too vague and nonspecific to legally constitute protected activities, and he fails to adequately assert a causal connection to retaliatory motive, i.e., that the adverse outcome resulted from those complaints. So now we're going to get into some of the background of what he claims happened, and I guess at some point we're going to get to Megan's response to the claims. Okay, plaintiff, a Texas resident, alleges he worked as Miss Pete's personal cameraman from 2019 through 2023 when his services were terminated. During this engagement, plaintiff alleges that he accompanied Miss Pete to various locations, including foreign countries and strip clubs across the United States. During this approximately 4-year period, plaintiff claims he was subjected to discrimination, harassment, and retaliation by Miss Pete and the Pete defendants because of his sex, weight, and disability. In support, plaintiff alleges 3 instances of purported harassment. First, he asserts that on February 15, 2022, Miss Pete purportedly required him to attend a New York City strip club to celebrate her birthday. There, after plaintiff made an innocuous comment, Miss Pete allegedly shot plaintiff a sinister look, so malignant that he had never seen her express before, and refrained from engaging with plaintiff thereafter. Plaintiff contends that he opposed this behavior by returning to the SUVs parked outside for the remainder of the night. Second, in June 2022, in Ibiza, Spain, the plaintiff alleges he witnessed Miss Pete and others engage in group sex in a car, and in a purported effort to oppose this conduct, he continued to play music on his phone and looked out the window. Boy, they are reducing your claim to some bush, boy. Because they did say he was in control of the ox. Matter of fact, he said it himself. Later that evening, during dinner, plaintiff asserts that Miss Pete verbally criticized him for eating. The next morning, plaintiff claims that Miss Pete asked if he was in the car the prior evening. He confirmed he was and allegedly told her he did not appreciate and opposed such unlawful conduct of witnessing her group sex. Finally, in August 2022 in Portugal, plaintiff claims Miss Pete forbade him from leaving a hotel room and allegedly threw a remote control at him. Plaintiff asserts that Miss Pete denied throwing the remote but challenged him to confront her. So now she challenged you to a fight. After the Ibiza incident, plaintiff was allegedly booked less frequently, and in August 2022, he claims defendants altered his compensation structure from a monthly rate to a pay-per-task system. At an unspecified time in 2023, plaintiff purportedly confided in Alex, an alleged employee of Miss Pete's, about supposed unlawful pay practices and unidentified acts of retaliation. Therefore, in June 2023, while plaintiff was at his home in Texas, he allegedly received a FaceTime call during which Ms. Pete confronted him about his desire to quit and told him not to confide, in Alex. And Alex is in quotations. And allegedly called him a lazy bitch. Plaintiff contends that he engaged in protected activity on this call by opposing unlawful wage practices, reducing his hours, and ongoing harassment, including being labeled a bitch as a gay man. Okay, so here we have his sexual preference being used as a weapon, which it has been for the last couple months. But we'll continue. Shortly after that call, though plaintiff does not specify when, defendants informed him that his services were no longer needed due to a change in creative direction. In August 2023, after his termination, plaintiff claims he was engaged to perform photography services in California by an unidentified production company for a music video, but was cut the day before. Plaintiff blames Miss Pete for his lost opportunity, claiming she was in the music video and purportedly blackballed him from the entertainment industry. And that music video that he was referencing ended up being Bongos with Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. He claims that he was brought on by some third party who invited him to do photography, and then they ended up uninviting him, saying that Megan was going to be there, therefore, no. He's saying that constitutes as blackballing, okay? On January 14th, 2025, plaintiff filed his FAC reasserting 9 California-based claims from his original complaint filed on April 23rd, 2024, adding 10 new causes of action under New York law, bringing the grand total of his claims to 19 causes of action, and alleging 2 entirely new incidents of purported harassment. Plaintiff asserts the following New York causes of action: discrimination, retaliation, and aiding and abetting discrimination under New York State's human rights laws, which we saw Roc Nation refute in their filing, right? So then he goes into his human rights, whistleblower retaliation, failure to pay proper wages and overtime, failure to provide wage notice and pay statements. They say plaintiff's California claims assert harassment and failure to protect and remedy harassment under California's Fair Employment and Housing Act, misclassification, failure to provide meal and rest periods, failure to pay overtime, inaccurate wage statements, waiting time penalties, and retaliation in violation of California Labor Code. All of these things, right? Which, again, he's asserting himself as an employee. So here's the argument from Megan. Rather than specify which defendants engaged in what conduct to warrant their inclusion in this lawsuit, plaintiff makes undifferentiated allegations about all 4 defendants. We got that. Let's go past some of this. Okay. Plaintiff does just that. He fails to identify which of the Pete defendants hired him or terminated him, and vaguely refers to defendants' practices without specifying which of them did what. And the only allegation that identifies Hot Girl Touring by name in this party's is in the party section, even though Hot Girl Touring is the party with whom he entered into the agreement to provide services as an independent contractor. Tellingly, some of the FAC's allegations reference individuals who are not even parties to this action. Defendant entities were and now are related to and or alter egos of each other. What? This pleading approach fails to give defendant requisite notice and violates rules. Okay, so here they say that his 9 California-based claims are subject to dismissal because they do not apply extraterritorially. He's a citizen of Texas, he never lived in California, and he was not a California employee. Okay, we're just going to put some of this in here and keep going. The FAC is devoid of any nexus to California that would entitle plaintiff to relief. For example, his FEHA claim purports to arise from the Ibiza incident, but that is well beyond California's border. Likewise, he cannot recover for the New York and Portugal incident. Similarly, the FaceTime call he had with Miss Pete, wherein she allegedly labeled plaintiff a bitch as a gay man, does not support an FEHA claim. Plaintiff answered the call in Texas and does not allege where Miss Pete placed it. Taken together, plaintiff fails to allege any conduct in California that gives rise to FHA's protections. Plaintiff otherwise fails to assert factual allegations demonstrating that he was employed in California or performed work there. They go on to repeat some of the other stuff that we just said, but the allegations that predate his termination are too conclusory to support his claims because he does not assert how frequently or when he worked in California or attended strip clubs there, whether he was subject to harassment there, and if so, what the specific conduct was or what harm he suffered. Okay? So they're just refuting where all of this stuff happened because he filed in California when most of this stuff didn't even occur there. Okay? They say the New York claim should be limited because only one incident took place there, which was the thing in the strip club. We're just going to keep moving here. The FAC's California New York labor laws claims should be dismissed because plaintiff was not an employee. Okay? So here's where they refute that he was an employee, and they go on to say that he was an independent contractor. Okay? So they say, preliminarily, he alleges that defendants treated him as an independent contractor. And though he claims he was on defendant's payroll, he admits to invoicing Roc Nation for payment, something employees need not do. Absolutely, because you would just get a paycheck, whether that be weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever. He also admits that Miss Pete engaged other cameramen, suggesting a lack of exclusivity. These allegations are consistent with his agreement, which contains no exclusivity clause. So she could work with exactly whoever she wanted to. Under New York law, the agreement is pertinent to the parties' beliefs about the nature of the relationship. Therefore, plaintiff agreed to provide services as an independent contractor. Okay. Declaration of Joanna Manillo, Exhibit A, for $5,500 per month. And he agreed to be solely responsible for the payment of all taxes required to be paid, including payroll taxes or contributions. He did not have the right to execute any agreement or incur any obligation for which may be liable or otherwise bound, nor did the agreement grant the Pete defendants exclusive control over the manner or means of plaintiff's performance. Moreover, both parties could terminate the agreement at any time. So this is where they tell him that he could be fired at any time, and he could have also said, I no longer want to work for you at any time, and neither would have had any punishment or breach of contract. As plaintiff's well-pled facts belie his conclusory allegations of employee status, dismissal of NYLL and California Labor Code claims is proper. Okay? Here they say plaintiff fails to state a claim for discrimination, regardless of extraterritoriality. Plaintiff's various theories of discrimination in a hostile work environment under these laws fail to state a claim for relief. Either theory is subject to similar elements. All right. This one act requires proof that plaintiff has a protected characteristic, is qualified for the job, suffered adverse employment action, and that the action occurred under circumstances giving rise to an inference of discrimination. And I'm guessing the protected characteristic would be that he's gay. This law claims differs only in that a plaintiff can show that he or she was treated less well than others rather than adverse employment action. A theory of hostile work environment is assessed regardless of the statute under the rubric of less well treatment. Regardless of the framing, however, such claims will fail absent a causal connection between the adverse employment action or less well treatment and plaintiff's protected characteristic. Basically stating that his discrimination would have to show that he was treated poorly because he's gay. Right? So here he goes as a member of her entourage to the strip club for her 27th birthday. He says she began acting provocatively with the dancers, making plaintiff feel uncomfortable, embarrassed, and disgusted. That's how he said he felt in the strip club, although they were going to strip clubs since 2019. During the evening, plaintiff allegedly made an innocuous comment that caused Miss Pete to give him a sinister look so malignant that he had never seen before. But plaintiff does not claim that Miss Pete shot him this look because of his sex, disability, or weight. No causal connection is established. He then says that hostile work environment claim the supervisor berated him and frightened her. Insufficient absent inference that the conduct occurred because of general. Okay, that's a different case. Plaintiff's general allegations that he was a gay man and not attracted to women does not alter the outcome because it is entirely unconnected to the supposed malignant look he received. Nor does this allegation support any potential argument that his attendance at the club is less well treatment. He claims Miss Pete's entourage was there with him, and he does not otherwise assert that he was required to attend because he is a gay man. Okay. They say based on all of these references, it warrants dismissal. The remaining instances of purported discrimination and harassment alleged, none of which occurred in New York, cannot serve to invoke its laws, are also devoid of any causal nexus. Plaintiff does not allege that the reduction in his bookings, change in pay structure, termination, or the alleged acts by Miss Pete of allegedly forbidding him and others from eating, which sounds crazy, purportedly engaging in group sex and Ibiza in front of him, yelling at plaintiff for eating in front of her in Ibiza, or allegedly throwing a remote control at him in Portugal were done because of his protected characteristic. Indeed, plaintiff alleges that Miss Pete's comments and conduct concerning food were because of her own dieting regimen. And plaintiff's generalized assertion that Miss Pete purportedly held disdain for him suggests that the other acts of purported less well treatment, if true, they are not, were not because of his sex, disability, or weight, but because of personal conflicts the law does not, personality conflicts the law does not regulate. Further, the FAC states that defendants terminated plaintiff because of a change in creative direction, which is a non-discriminatory reason. In any event, the agreement provides that either party may terminate it. Okay? These retaliation claims should also be dismissed. Each of plaintiff's retaliation claims, including his whistleblower retaliation claim, whether asserted under either of these laws, requires pleading three functionality similar elements: a protected activity, an act of retaliation or adverse employment action, and a causal connection between the two, which we've seen them make reference to multiple times. While causation under this law requires that the retaliation was a but-for cause of the employer's adverse action, FAC fails. Plaintiff fails to allege any protected activity. I'm going to get through some of this. None of the acts the plaintiff purportedly undertook to oppose the alleged unlawful conduct constitutes a protected activity. Read in the light most favorable to plaintiff, he alleges he engaged in protected activity by telling Miss Pete that he did not appreciate alleged conduct in Ibiza, Spain, complaining to Alex, which is another person, about defendant's payment practices and alleged acts of retaliation, and complaining to Miss Pete about defendant's retaliatory acts of reducing his hours and ongoing harassment. Okay? Only conduct alleged in New York is recoverable. None of these purported protected activities took place in the state, but even assuming if law applies, they are legally infirm. Okay? Just trying to get through this as swiftly as possible while addressing like the main points. Plaintiff fails to allege the requisite causal connection. Even if plaintiff's actions constitute protected activities, they do not. His claim lacks requisite causal connection to any adverse consequence. Plaintiff alleges several retaliatory actions by defendants, including yelling at him to spit his food out during dinner after the Ibiza incident, requesting fewer of his services, and altering his compensation structure. The allegations surrounding these alleged acts are conclusory at best and insufficient to create the necessary causal link. They're professionally saying this is bullshit, okay? Now, what is this thing? Similarly, plaintiff makes the conclusory allegation that 2 months later, during the Portugal incident, Miss Pete was clearly both physically and mentally intimidating him in an effort to keep him silent about what took place in Ibiza, Spain, amongst other unlawful acts detailed herein, but it is far from clear that the alleged conduct was in any way motivated by discriminatory animus, as plaintiff provides no supporting factual allegations sufficient to create an inference concerning Miss Pete's motivations. And while plaintiff claims that in August 2022, defendants altered his compensation structure and began to request fewer services, he does not allege facts that support an inference that this purported change in pay structure or reduction in bookings was in any way due to retaliatory animus for his statements made to Miss Pete in Ibiza. Okay? This is pretty simple stuff here. So, let's get to the actual agreement. I have it. All right. So here is the agreement between Emilio and Hot Girl Touring. And this puts all that employee stuff to bed. Hot Girl Touring, LLC Morrison Brown. I guess that's the legal people in attendance. And you got Emilio Rene Garcia Jr. We'll go past his address. So here is the agreement for his work. Dear Emilio, Hot Girl Touring on the one hand and Emilio Garcia Jr. on the other hand, for good and valuable consideration, the receipt and sufficiency of which is hereby acknowledged, hereby agrees as follows in the first fucking line. Number 1, we hereby engage you as an independent contractor to provide photography and videography and editing services to be used in any manner or medium worldwide in perpetuity, including but not limited to in connection with press and publicity, online and social media, promotional and commercial uses in connection with the upcoming tours or album projects, including use for any promotion, advertising, marketing, merchandise materials for the recording artist professionally known as Megan Thee Stallion. The term of this agreement shall commence from the date of this agreement and continue on a monthly basis thereafter. So he was already on a month-to-month basis. And he was already a independent contractor from the jump. Provided that you are not in breach of this agreement at the time of such termination, you shall be paid for all services rendered on a pro rata basis. The materials shall individually and collectively mean all results and proceeds of your services hereunder, and any materials photographed, recorded, captured, created, and or delivered by you in whole or part as part of your engagement hereunder. You shall deliver all raw files to us on a weekly basis. And further, you shall deliver to us any and all other raw files, negatives, edited materials, and any other materials captured by you within 3 days upon our request. And you hereby acknowledge failure to deliver material shall constitute a material breach of this agreement. Further, upon our request, you shall edit and or retouch or redeliver any materials within 3 days of our request to each instance. So all of his outline of work is being put here. So all photos, raw files, and edits need to be turned into Megan within 3 days of taking place. And if she needs anything to be retouched, re-edited, or whatever, he has another 3 days to deliver those. And all of the photos or video that he shoots for Megan shall be submitted to Megan as her property in perpetuity. So even if, let's say one day he decides, I'm tired of you using the photos I use, I own them. You know, because if you shoot photos without this agreement, as a photographer, you would be the one that owns that material, even if it has somebody else's likeness on it. But he signed a contract that states otherwise, that it would be Megan's property. And she could use it however she wants, from social media, promotion, touring, album covers, etc. In full consideration for your services rendered for us, including any services provided by any other person engaged and selected by you. So anyone, if he were to bring somebody else in to work with him, their shit would be the same. Right? And all rights acquired by us hereunder and all exploitation thereof of any manner or medium now known or hereafter devised, we shall pay you a fee of $5,500. So he was getting paid $5,500 a month to shoot photos and travel with Megan. The buyout fee shall be paid on the later of, and this is a buyout, means that they pay him and everything that he does is her property, right? Which means he relinquishes his rights to it. That's what a buyout is. The buyout fee shall be paid on the later of the 15th day of the month or within 10 days of receipt of a proper invoice and the satisfactory completion of services hereunder. So he was either going to get paid on the 15th of the month or within 10 days of him submitting an invoice on a monthly basis. Either or. Probably whichever came first. Okay? You hereby acknowledge and agree that you have received satisfactory payment for your services rendered from the date of this agreement through November 31st, 2021. So when was this signed? This was March 1st, 2020, right when the pandemic was about to kick in. And he was under contract until November 31st of 2021. Right? At that point, they could renew. All reasonable expenses incurred in connection with you rendering services must be pre-approved in writing in each instance prior to any reimbursement. All equipment that we and or artists purchase, which you use in the course of rendering, shall remain our sole property. So if we buy anything that helps you to produce this content, we still own it. You can use it though. Right? All materials shall be deemed work made for hire, which is also gig work, independent contractor. Right? For us, as work specially commissioned for use as a contribution to a collective work, if for any reason any of the materials is determined by a court of competent jurisdiction not to be a work made for hire for us, then you hereby irrevocably transfer, grant, convey, and assign to us all right, title, and interest extensions throughout the universe in perpetuity, including the copyright and any and all renewals and extensions thereof to the materials. Okay? We ain't got to go through all this because this is like gig work mumbo jumbo. But y'all see for sure that it stated he was an independent contractor, he was a work for hire, and he agreed to $5,500 a month. Right? And that contract was good until November 31st of 2021. And it was in 2022 that they reduced his pay. Okay? As you can see, Megan has signed here. Emilio signed here. Now, there seems to be some people out there that believe because I like Megan Thee Stallion, I like her music, that I'm on some campaign to uphold her or that I'm on some sort of warpath to incriminate or defame anyone that doesn't like her or that's going against her. I think that's a pretty dumb assertion to make or an assumption to make when all I do is report what's in front of me. If Megan were to come to us with insufficient claims, I would say, hey, man, I fuck with you. But this is an insufficient claim. I mean, how many videos you got to watch of me saying just that to people that I fuck with? Like, come on out. But whatever. Y'all saw the paperwork. Y'all can make your own inference, come to your own conclusion. But the main basis of Emilio's lawsuit was wage discrepancies. I don't know how he plans to prove the discrimination unless he's going to have Alex come out and witness on his behalf that she was there for, the alleged group sex activity, that she was there and witnessed this menacing look that Megan gave him that just shook him to his core. She would also have to attest on his behalf that Megan called him a lazy bitch and called him a bitch because he was gay. These niggas' car going off, dog. What the hell? Right? Because they're calling it discriminatory. So if he don't got no witnesses, he ain't got no photos, he ain't got no recordings of any of these situations happening, how is he supposed to prove it in court? Once again, I feel like he was just trying to be a part of the pile on. excuse me, for the Megan Thee Stallion hate train. And it's like, all right, let's open this up and see where we can go. Just dumb. And I'm sure he's costing himself legal fees and running through his financial resources to make this stuff happen, because now he done had to, go across jurisdiction and all type of stuff. Just ill-advised. But let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. First I'm out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.